Well, France's terrorism court started the trial today for 14 people accused of providing support in the 2015 terror attacks that killed 17 people in Paris. Those attacks began when gunmen swearing allegiance to al-Qaeda attacked the offices of Charlie Hebdo, a satirical magazine that had printed a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. 2 days later, another gunman murdered 4 people at a Jewish supermarket in the city. The 3 gunmen were all killed by police. The defendants in court today stand accused of providing them with weapons, cars, and logistical support. So following this story is CBS News reporter Elaine Cobbe joining me now from Paris. Elaine, you are on the phone. It's sort of hard to believe that it was 5 years ago that the attack on Charlie Hebdo occurred. 5 years ago seems so long and so short all at the same time. But finally, we are seeing some people in court. Tell me first off, what happened on the first day in court?
Anne-Marie, the president of the court first introduced those present and outlined the charges against the 14 who are on trial for their part in helping the 3 attackers. Only 11 of them are actually in the courthouse because 3 of them are either presumed dead or believed to be in Syria. Now, the president also gave a run-through of the events of the day, talking about how Saeed and Sheriff Kouachi, the brothers, attacked the Charlie Hebdo offices, and Amedy Coulibaly, 2 days later, was responsible for the hostage-taking in a Jewish supermarket. In all, 17 people were killed in 3 days of attacks because there were the 2 attacks and the shooting dead of a policewoman. Now, there are some 200 people who are civil or third parties to the trial. Some were hostages in that Hyper Cacher supermarket, and some are relatives of the victims. Many of them are forced now to watch the proceedings in a secondary room in the courthouse where it's rebroadcast because the courtroom itself has had to be laid out differently because of the coronavirus epidemic, of course. So only half the number of seats are actually available to people, and there's also the issue of masks. Already lawyers for some of the accused have said they feel it's dehumanizing that their clients are being forced to address the court wearing masks.
I never considered that, but as we pointed out, all of the actual shooters in this attack, they were killed by police. So all of these people are accused of being accomplices. Can you give us a little more insight into the charges that they're facing, what they're accused of doing, or what their participation, they're accused, how are they rather accused of participating in this terrorist attack?
There's a range of charges. Some have been accused of providing material support, procuring a getaway car, providing funding, buying weapons. One woman who was the religious wife of Amedy Coulibaly is accused of getting bank loans to buy guns for her husband. She was reportedly seen some months ago in an ISIS camp in Syria, so she is not in court today. One of the men who is also not in court and is in fact presumed dead in Syria is charged with being an accomplice, and only one other is believed to be a direct accomplice who actually is in court. And this man, Polat, is believed to be the link between Amedy Coulibaly and the Kouachi brothers. Now, all of these risk between 10 years and life imprisonment if they're found guilty.
So did they all know each other? From what we know so far in terms of the case that's being built, did they know each other? Did they work together as a group?
Some of them knew each other. The first contact was between the Kouachi brothers and Coulibaly in prison in 2005. They were in custody in the same place together. The one of the brothers, Sherif Qureshi, and they found themselves again in the same prison. And investigators now believe that they were in close contact for some time. There were also some of those in court today were in the same prison with Coulibaly, and they were nicknamed the laundry group because they would meet and talk in the prison laundry. And it's believed that Coulibaly was recruiting them there and then. Many of them have said via their lawyers that, yes, they knew Coulibaly was up to no good, but they thought he was planning a robbery. They didn't realize it was terrorism. Now, is that something they genuinely believed, or they just know that there is a lesser sentence for a criminal act than a terror act? Hard to know at this stage.
So to bring everyone back 5 years ago, the Charlie Hebdo attackers said that they were motivated by the fact that the magazine had printed a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. So Charlie Hebdo has not reprinted that cartoon until now. Now, I was under the impression that it was reprinted on Tuesday, or maybe it has, or maybe they announced that they will be reprinting it. You can clarify that for me. But has the magazine explained why they're choosing to reprint this cartoon that some found offensive?
The Charlie Hebdo comes out on a Wednesday, so it's printed today. They did announce it yesterday. So what they've done is a front page with the headline, "All this for that," and they've got a selection of some of their least offensive, it has to be said, cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. There had been several where the Prophet is depicted in sexual poses, and those particularly offended people. But they said, you know, we won't be threatened, we will never give in, we will never give up, is what the director of Charlie Hebdo, Reese, said in the newspaper as they reprinted it. And this despite the fact that they are now operating out of a secret location and they're under heavy guard and they're still receiving threats. But it's the first time they decided that it was time to actually reprint some of these. Now, an opinion poll today found that a majority of French people, 59%, approved of that. And President Emmanuel Macron said, you know, freedom of speech and the freedom to blaspheme is important in France.